You're checking out the Investor Shed podcast with Nick Beveridge and Jeremy Kitchen. They're on the path to financial freedom and they're taking their community with them. Stay tuned for the best free real estate investing advice on the internet.
Welcome to the Investor Shed podcast. My name is Nick Beveridge here with Jeremy. I've got a little cold kitchen. How are you?
I'm doing so good, Nick. Other than I got a little bit of a cold right now. How are you?
Just a little wee bit. Doing good. I do not have a little bit of a cold right now or a flu or anything like that. But I'll tell you what I do have. I've got a hat just like you and I've got a black shirt just like you. And we also have Nathan Payne on our podcast today.
Absolutely do. It was so cool to talk to Nathan today. Nick, can you tell us a little bit about what Nathan brought and what people will be looking forward to see?
Yeah, so Nathan runs a wholesale training company, and he's also a coach, investor. He gets into his story about how his business has been the last few years, where he got started. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good nuggets. We talk about social media, how he's able to grow that presence, just being consistent. It's the day after Christmas. He's on vacation. Unfortunately, we only had a half hour. He had to get out and go hang out with his wife, which I don't blame him at all. Yep. Let's just get right into it, shall we?
What kind of food do people need today, Nick?
Before we get into this podcast, I want everybody to go grab the candy canes that they have left off their tree, suck on them. Here we go. All right, Nathan Payne, welcome to the Investor Shed podcast. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Day after Christmas. How you feeling today?
Man, I feel really good. I woke up early and I'm just getting right back into it. I doing my morning routine. I mean, Christmas is awesome, but I feel like when you get older, it's just like, it's not another day, but it's not as big as when you were kids, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. It just gets in the way of work.
Just because it's a bank holiday too doesn't mean we can't work. It doesn't mean we can't find the next property we're looking for too. So
that's right.
Yeah. Technically, it is a holiday. So thanks for coming on board.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So Nathan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of deals you like? Start with just kind of your background and how you got into real estate investing.
Yeah, so I started real estate investing 4 years ago. I was, had no prior knowledge to real estate whatsoever. I was from a door-to-door sales background, but my roommate in college, he was doing lease options and seller financing. And so, through college, he was always like, hey, man, come and do this. And I was like, nah, man, I'm doing door-to-door. I'm doing really well. I'm running a team. And, after college, I didn't really want to do door-to-door anymore because it was like, it's a transient lifestyle. You always have to be bouncing from place to place. Good money, but I didn't want to do it anymore. So I called him up. I said, hey, let's go right into real estate, man. Let's do it. And he was all about it. So he quit his job and I quit mine and we went right into it.
Gotcha. What were you selling door to door?
I was doing Dish Network, satellite TV.
Gotcha. How long were you doing that? And was that like draining or taxing on your mental state?
Yeah, it's pretty intense stuff. I would say like you not a lot of people do it year round. They do it for like spurts of like 4 or 5 months in the summer or in the fall. So I went on a 2-year mission for my church where I was knocking doors and talking to people about Jesus. And then right after I got back from my mission when I was 21, I went to college. Then I started doing door-to-door sales from like 22 to until I was like 26. So what is that, like 4 years, 5 years?
Okay. Gotcha. So you already had some experience, like the process of like knocking on strangers' doors wasn't necessarily an issue for you like it is so many people. Yeah. You got some training.
No, it wasn't. It was something that it came natural to me just to randomly talk to people about things that they probably didn't want to talk about.
Yeah. Because I know I've done sales in the past before I got into real estate sales, and I know everything else, it seems like other than real estate, you actually have to push on people. And real estate's like the only sales job that I've ever had where there's no pushiness needed at all.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I came into real estate because I was like, man, I'm a great salesman. I thought it was really good, and I was cocky too. which was probably prideful because I was good in the industry of door to door, and came into wholesaling and real estate, and I was like, man, this is completely different. So I had to like get John Martinez sales training. I had to get Franklin Covey sales training. I was just training like nonstop because I couldn't convince anyone to sell their house to me at a discount. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. I was like, man, what's going on? But then I found out it's not how it works in this industry. You don't convince people.
Right. Training goes a long way for sure.
Yeah. So most of that, what did that training kind of teach you is just how to go out there and find the right people to talk to?
Yeah, how to find the right people, how to present options, how to, basically like not like find out if you're the right fit for them, right? So I guess in essence to what you said, yes, that's correct. Find the right people.
That's awesome. And just I want to touch on your wholesaling a little bit, Nathan. So obviously you do run a successful wholesaling business. Can you tell us what that's like and how you grew that business to what it is today?
Yeah, so the business actually changed since the market shift. I mean, as you guys know, you got to pivot your businesses with the way the market is. So I had at the beginning of the year, I had a successful wholesaling business. We were doing like six figures every month, and we had acquisition managers, dispositions, the whole thing, leads managers, VAs. And then the market shift happened, and our market tightened up in Utah pretty tight, and our VAs weren't getting we were using virtual assistants for acquisitions managers, and they weren't getting as many deals as they used to be getting, and not big enough spread. So we actually had to go really lean. And I had a business partner at the time, and I was like, hey man, like we're going really lean. There's really no reason for me and you to split everything 50-50. Like, you know how to do the business, I know how to do the business. Let's just separate. So we split, and now I just run my business with three virtual assistants and acquisition guy and commission, and it's a lean business, and the overhead's like super low.
Right. Hey, so I'm always curious, like when you have a business partner in the wholesaling business, what kind of responsibilities does one partner have versus the other?
That was kind of the problem. Like when we first started, we got basically it was like emotional support in the very beginning. Like we both didn't really know what we were doing, so we were like, "Hey, let's do this together." And we both did the acquisitions. We both did pretty much deals, but together, right? And then as we grew, it was like, well, shoot, what do we do? So, over the last couple years that we were together, we were always switching roles, trying to find out which one would be better fit for one. Marketing, one guy would be in charge of sales and dispositions. And eventually, like it became apparent that I was like just better at sales. So I was over the sales team and doing acquisitions, and he was over just the management and, marketing. And, that's kind of how we did it until the end. We ended things.
Right. Yeah, I've been in a lot of partnerships, and what I've discovered over time was that no partnership is ever going to be fair, and you got to know that going in. But what most people don't know is like what responsibilities are the partners actually going to be in charge of? Are they going to be in charge of the same thing? Because then you got a problem there. And are the personality fits, like are they more of an integrator? Are they more of a visionary? There's so much that goes into a strategic partnership, and most people, I feel like they both have an interest in something. Hey, let's partner up and do it, and then they find out later it's not necessarily a great fit because of their personalities or anything, but just it's a functionality flaw. Like who's actually in charge of what, and is that person good at it enough for it to be worth like a 50-50 split? It's kind of a tough thing to figure out long term.
Yeah, yeah. When we first started, we didn't know anything about integrators, visionaries, any of those roles. So once we got deeper into this stuff and started becoming better at business, we were like, "Dang, dude, we're both visionaries." Like no one's really an integrator here. We both just we have great ideas and we want to make them happen. And we went to a mentorship with Jerry Norton, who's one of my mentors, and he was telling us, he's like, hey, you got to be careful in business partnerships that 1+1 doesn't equal one, which that was the case for us when we first started. And then as we got deeper into it, we were better at, complementing each other. But most of the time, 1+1 equals one in the beginning.
That's definitely true, but not always. But for the most part, because most people don't have experience until they know what they know.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me if you don't mind, can we get into, you're obviously big on social media. Was that something that kind of took off quickly, or was that a slow build over time? And can you tell us how you were able to grow your presence online?
Yeah, so I had no aspirations or interest in social media, but I started doing a lot of JV deals just here and there. And I was talking to one of my another mentor of mine, Brandon Simmons. And he's like, "Hey, man, you can do a lot of business through JVing and just helping others." And he had a business, a mastermind called the Go Giver in Arizona, and he had met like a ton of people, done a lot of business with people out there. So he was like, "You should start a Facebook group, and that you should do JV deals." And I was like, "Okay." So my goal in getting on social media was to do more deals, but to give back because I understood that like, hey, if I'm going to do deals, I need to be able to provide value. So that's what I did a year ago. I just started a Facebook group, started making trainings and showing people how to do stuff, hoping to get deals, and deals started coming. And then I had a desire. I was like, man, I spent so much money on coaching. I spent so much money trying to like learn this business, and I feel like it's a lot of the coaching out there is very expensive, and they don't give you the support you need. So I was like, I can give all the support. I have the time, and I can do it for a way better deal. So that's kind of how I got bigger on the social media. It was said, and it wasn't just sudden, and it's not even. I don't even feel like I'm that big. It's just a gradual. I've been posting on social media platforms every day for the last year because that's just what they tell you. Consistency is the key. So, yeah, that's kind of how it started. I wanted more deals, and I knew how to get bigger was to help out.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I know it doesn't sound huge, but like you've only been doing this a year, and I know on YouTube you already have 10,000 subscribers. How are you able to make that work like in just a year?
I'll be straight with you guys. So I had before I got 10,000, I had like 700 subscribers. And I met with this company that was like, "Hey, you're never going to organically grow your Instagram or your YouTube viewers unless like you have help." So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's do it then. Like how can you do it?" So like we have real people that will subscribe to you. So I was like, "Okay, let's try it." And then I found out that the real people were real people, but they were just like paid people in India and all that stuff. So a lot of my subscribers, I'd say a majority of them are not are real, but they're not like legit. And I thought that'd be fine because I was like, okay, let's get some viewers on here. Let's get some, I guess the credibility, you could say fake credibility, and people will start subscribing, which it did work. But also once I got monetized, it crushed my analytics because half of the fake people like are in India or whatever. So now
Yeah,
it's
they're
like
not watching your stuff.
they're not watching the stuff, and if they do, it's showing YouTube's showing the stuff to the wrong audience. So if I would have done it again, I probably wouldn't have done it like that. And Jerry Norton actually was like, "Dude, don't." After I did it, he's like, "What are you doing? Don't do that." I was like, "I didn't think about it." So yeah, just to shoot you guys straight,
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting, obviously, because I'm kind of new in the social media game. I've been trying to go on Instagram and TikTok a little bit more than YouTube, but I do see that YouTube is a big place for people to be, obviously, especially with YouTube Shorts and everything right now. It's a great place to have content for sure. So
huge lead gen, right? It's like a Jerry Norton told me it's. Keep talking about him, but this what I guess this is the topic we're on. It's just a giant funnel, right? Like what YouTube and social media is. It's a funnel that pushes people to a specific platform that you want, whether you want them to bring deals, whether you want to coach them. That's what it is. And growing organically now, it's very difficult because of the paid ads that back in the day you could organically grow a lot on Instagram, but it's like they're not going to push you. They're going to push people who are going to pay. And that's why they have paid ads. So it's difficult to grow organically now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Like I've got a YouTube channel that I've been running for 12 years since I got into real estate. And I've only been really, since Jeremy came on board, really kind of more purposeful about putting good content on there for maybe the last 4 years now.
yeah, something like that.
And I've grown to 181 subscribers.
Getting it.
it's,
Let's go.
it's pathetic, but if you look at the analytics, like a lot of people are watching. It's just it just boggles my mind. Like, how do people get like 500,000 subscribers in just a couple of years? And like, are they legit? How much media do they have to be pumping out? And are they on everything out like TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff? And how do they even manage their own business and try to grow that social media?
Yeah, and for me, what I do for my content is most of it is lives that are like I'm actually working, and I just cut it up into content with my video editor. But just to kind of give you an idea on how to grow your YouTube channel, I hired a YouTube coach that grew Chris Crone's channel and Noah Randall and a bunch of other big people that have like 500, 700,000 subscribers. And he's got a specific strategy that he's taught me that I'm implementing on my YouTube channel. You can see that's actually working very good. It's getting me on searches. It's getting me on the browse channel, which is essentially how you grow. You have people search the topic that you make, right? So if when I started my YouTube channel, I was making videos that I thought people would be interested in, like, hey, watch me call a seller, right? But if you look at the analytics on YouTube, if you actually do research and say, what are people searching in my industry? You make a YouTube video after what's being searched, and then that's how you actually grow. And I didn't know that. It's obvious. It's common sense, but I didn't know that until he showed me, and that's what we've been doing.
Gotcha. How long have you been training wholesalers?
It's been this year. This year I've been doing it. Yeah, I started Investor Thrive this year seriously.
Okay. And has that spit off any revenue for you so far? Or are you still in the growth stage?
I think right now we're break even after investing in, coaches to help me do it. And, it's actually an intense business. Like there's a lot of softwares and services in it. And, again, with Jerry Norton, he's like, I was talking about coaching. He's like, hey man, it's a whole nother beast. Like it's a marketing business pretty much. Like you got to get your message out there and yeah, so break even at the moment, and done some deals from it, which has been cool. Man, this one's crazy. I was supposed to close on a deal last week with a student for $19,000, and we were gonna in my program I give him 60% and I take 40 on a JV deal. And this is what the buyer told me, which I'm pretty tight with the buyer. He said he wired the money, $200,000 to close on the deal, but someone had hacked the email of the title agency, and they wired the money to the wrong to to a fraudulent account. So they just sent $200,000 to whoever they don't know, whatever. And the seller's like doesn't know if they believe that or not. So they're like, we ain't gonna wait around. So it's just a mess.
Wow.
Oh man, yeah, you got to watch out for that stuff. I know our title companies, like every time we open escrow, they always send out that email first, like, "Hey, watch out for. We're never going to email you with wiring instructions."
Right?
Live and learn on the deals.
Some creative con artists out there.
And he had like an assistant that did it that looked like, she's like, look legit. And so, whew,
Ooh,
I hope they can figure it out. But
not good on her resume.
yeah,
Yeah, that's wild.
Ouch.
he's but yeah, so I'm doing deals, but unfortunately, crazy stuff happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, Nathan, you do a lot of wholesaling. Do you do any buy and holds as well, or do you particularly just work on wholesaling and getting other people the deal so you can get the quick cash?
Mostly quick cash, because over the last 4 years, in order to maintain a wholesaling business and keep employees, we've had to like churn and burn pretty much everything. Which, like, looking back, everyone's like, man, I wish I could keep 10% of the stuff that I did. But the problem with just owning a wholesaling business is if you have a lot of employees, in order to keep the engine running, you got to pretty much sell everything, and it's hard to keep stuff.
You got to put that coal in the fire for sure.
You're singing to the choir, man. I spent the last like couple of years with just employees growing this construction business to fuel my, flipping and spec home building business, and it was just, um, I would have been better off if I didn't do anything for the last 2 years.
It's crazy. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, employees can be expensive. Um, and it's funny, you want to do the right thing and you think you're doing the right thing, and you're taking advice from people that are making money, and it just seems like a vicious cycle sometimes, and you're just like you're just relying upon what the market does sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I got rocked by the market. I had like 3 flips going that haven't sold, so we had to refinance out of one. We have 2 other ones we're trying to figure out. So it sucks. I mean, we were doing really well during the last 2 years, and before it was fine, but now it's like, okay, pivot. What do we do now? And I think that there's a lot of people in that situation.
So do you assign most of your deals, or do you close on them and then flip them?
Assign most majority of the deals. And over the last 2 years, we were wholetailing a lot, so we were closing and just relisting them and making good money. But again, that strategy's kind of out.
Yeah. So what What's worked best for you for getting leads for your wholesaling business?
So right at the moment, I leverage this is not something everyone can do, but I leverage my community and like my social media and I get free leads, but from other services like cold calling. I'll say, hey, let me promote your cold calling business. I'll give me free leads and we'll rev share once I close. So I get a lot of free leads now, like Home Light. That's another good one. But when we were paying more, I mean, cold calling, texting was always good. Pay per click has always been good, except I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Sword with pay per click. It's very expensive. So if you don't convert, you're pretty much done. So
Now, when you're pulling lists for your wholesalers too, Nathan, are you looking for things with high equity, low equity? Are you looking to find seller finance deals? Or are you just looking for, a lot of people that have a lot of equity so they can close and, you can make a quick buck and they can make some money too?
usually high equity. High equities combined with pretty much any list is a good move. Like absentee owners are always the tried and true vacant absentee owners because they don't live there, they have no attachment. If you're trying to market to people that live in the home, it's obviously a little bit more tricky because you got to get them out of there. But yeah, so high equity is the key usually. And then right now, the play is seller finance, in my opinion, because people aren't able to sell, right? So they're going to probably be more open to taking terms, and that's something we're going for now as well.
Yeah, seller finance, subject to. Do you ever jump on to subject to opportunities or anything like that?
Yeah, I've done a couple, and that's actually one we're in. Oh gosh, it's one we have right now that hasn't sold that we have on subject to that we pretty much like told the seller like, hey, we'll flip this with you. We'll take care of the payments and we'll finance you, fix up the place. He agreed, and then he didn't fix up the place. So, and the house is now worth less.
Oh, you're gonna have the seller fix up the place?
Yeah, yeah, he's a contractor. So he was a contractor, and he's like, dude, I know this house is worth way more. I just need the money to fix it up. And we're like, okay, fine. We'll take over the payments. You fix it up, get out of there, and we'll sell it. But he didn't fix it up. He didn't get out of there, and now we're like, the house is worth less than obvious. Well, at the beginning of the year, it would have been fine, right? It is because it was like worth 580. Now the house is I think we bought it for around like 520, and it needed a little bit of work, but now it's like worth like 500, especially because he didn't fix it. Uh, so
Do you have a good idea like how much more money is needed to fix it, what it could rent for, and could you keep it long term as a hold if you boot them out?
uh, So the problem is that the balloon payment that we agreed to him on was short. It was very short because we're like, hey, if you fix this up in 2 months and then we only need about 3 months to sell it. So we're pretty much like up at that balloon payment and where it's like, hey, we need to pay him out, right?
Oh, okay. Even though he voided his agreement?
Yeah, and so that's now it's like a legal thing. It's like, okay, is the contract void because he took our money, didn't fix it up, and didn't move? Like, do we have to perform on our balloon payment?
And now there's no equity there.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's interesting because he owes like 200,000 on the house, so there's quite a bit of equity on his end, but with us, there's really no equity, and the payment on the property is like super low. It's like $1,000, and it rents for like 2,500 over there. So we could boot him out and just evict him and let's go to battle for a year or two, and then just rent the property out. But I don't know. This has been a weird one where I didn't want to like kick him out and even though I feel like he deserves it. It's just it's a weird feeling because it's like I could kick you out, but I don't know. It's a weird. I haven't made a move on it, kicking him.
Is Utah, is it a judicial foreclosure state, Nate?
Is that where you have to wait like 90 days and everything?
Judicial foreclosure is where you have to go through the court systems actually if you're going to be evicting somebody.
You know what you do, but I heard something like this is a different situation since this isn't bank owned. It would be him foreclosing on me, which he's not a bank. So I'm not sure what the process would be. Um, we're trying to figure out what to do because I really just want my money back. I put in closing costs and I gave him 20K down to put towards repairs, but he didn't spend it on the repairs. Obviously, he just pocketed it. So if I can just have my 24K back, I'd be great. And I got that from a loan from someone. So it's potential that potentially that person could foreclose on me and get their money back. So that's probably what we're gonna do.
It's all going to run downhill, right? Like somebody's got to get paid.
Yeah, because I think he's gonna try and foreclose on me and be like, "Oh, you didn't fulfill your agreement." And I think if we went to court and said, "Hey, this guy didn't follow his end," the contract, unfortunately, I'm not an attorney, so it's not very clear. Like most contracts aren't like if you have to go to court, like, hey,
Right. Yeah, yeah. There's ambiguity for sure.
exactly. We put a scope of work in everything, but our contract also says that it's like buy as is. So they could be like, well, no, you said you'd buy it as is, so why is there a scope of work? Anyway, I think we'll probably get foreclosed on, get my money back, and I don't know, guys. It's crazy. I don't even know how I got talking about this, but
Hey, it's interesting hearing about this story, right?
And you also got to be so careful about this kind of stuff too, because he is like, it sounds like it's his primary occupant or his primary.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's potentially Dodd-Frank that you have to deal with too. You could be in violation of the Dodd-Frank Act given a loan on somebody's personal residence if it's looked at as a loan.
Are you talking about I could call Dodd-Frank or enact them, talk about that on his end or my end?
No, I mean, I think that puts you in a bad spot because you're not a licensed lender.
I think the Dodd-Frank, as far as I know, it's if you have the property, you own it, and you sell it to someone on subject to, and they can't qualify, then you're in trouble. But I didn't sell. He sold it to me, right? So I'm the buyer.
So do you own the property?
I do own the property, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might be a little different. It's still worth talking to an attorney.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think the problem is with the Dodd-Frank Act, whatever you call it, you can potentially be in trouble if you didn't purchase the home in an LLC. If you bought in my own name, but I bought in my company's name, so I think like, yeah, there's weird stuff. I got to talk to an attorney about it.
So I think the only reason I brought that up, I wasn't sure if it was in his name still or your name still.
It's in my name now. It's in the LLC's name.
So I don't think that would apply then.
I wish it would though, because then I could say, hey, this guy sold it to me and didn't even see if I could qualify.
Right. Yeah. We didn't go through anything, right? And this kind of goes to show like real estate isn't just always like sunshine and rainbows as most people think. I mean, a lot of people can see real estate investing from the outside in, think like, oh, this is just the easiest thing in the world. It's not always easy. You got to make hard decisions sometimes.
And that's what I try to convey, like on all my content, is like complete transparency. Like, hey guys, like having a wholesaling business, in my opinion, is not like the end all be all goal. That's not my goal. I don't think that should be anyone's goal, unless you guys love doing that. But I think the goal is to create like get assets, create passive income, and grow your business. But I tell people like, hey, if you being a wholesaler, it's active income. You have to work. As soon as you stop working, you stop getting deals. So it's not as luxurious as I think people think it is. You get big checks and you can make good money, but I don't think it should be portrayed as like, oh yeah, this is easy, because it's a grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always believed that wholesaling was an advanced strategy. and it should be kind of like a last resort too, not a first resort. Just because I think the real money's made in holding, and from I've seen a lot of people over the years get into wholesaling as kind of their launching pad, and then they eventually get into buying rental properties, and that's kind of always that's they make the active income so that they can reinvest into something that's more stable and will build wealth over time. I mean, there's a reason why they say the rich flip, but the wealthy hold.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Like, I think if you get into this just to wholesale and that's all you're going to do, well, you're going to be busy.
Yeah. Then you bought yourself a high risk job.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
So Nathan, you did talk about this isn't your plan forever, obviously. What is your plan going forward? So do you have a 5-year plan for where you want to be in the next 5 years?
So I'm really passionate about what I'm doing at Investor Thrive. Like, I'm building a community that's like a really affordable program for people to get in and get started. And I believe that my program, like within the next 5 years, will be like one of the biggest coaching communities out there. Just because I provide everything a wholesaler needs. I provide like a buyer's list nationwide, wherever state they're in, a buyer's list leads. I give them all the contracts, like everything they need, daily coaching calls. I bring in experts from other industries to teach, so I don't have to just be the only one they're listening from. I want to bring in commercial. I have a bunch of people coming in teaching about things that they're experts on. So like my goal is to create like a community that supports new people and maybe people that are trying to get consistent. I think that that's something I want to do long term because I remember getting started. I was really frustrated after dropping 5, 10, $20,000 on coaching and not feeling like I got what I needed necessarily or the support I wanted. So I was like, dude, I can make that for people.
I totally think that's awesome. So right now, if somebody wanted to join your program, do they have to be in Utah or could they be anywhere in the U.S.?
It's all virtual. We do meet in once a month in Utah for like a free mastermind meetup, so anyone can come to that. But if you go to investorthrive.com, you sign up. My program's month to month as well, so you can check it out. If you don't like it, I give a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you join and you're like, hey, this month sucked and this stuff is trash, then be like, all right, great, here's your money, bro. I don't need it. So that's like something where people can go and check it out.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, if somebody did want to just jump on board, what can they expect to pay, and how long do you think they should stay in the program?
Um, I personally think the program is good. As it's almost like a dual purpose mastermind, right? So like you get not only all the resources, the materials you need, but you get around people who are action like takers, go givers. So I would say like stay in as long as you're in the business. I mean, it's super cheap. It's $297 a month. And yeah, month to month, you get people who are doing deals all over the country, so you can leverage other wholesalers. I've done multiple deals. I give away leads that came from my wholesaling business. So I have about 180,000 leads that I give away every month. I give about 10,000 a month away. And I say, hey, look, these leads are already skip trace, and 1,000 of the 10,000 I give away have been talked to. They just need to be followed up with. And I give those out. There's people doing deals from those. I'm still doing deals from them. And yeah, so they can expect to pretty much get everything they need. And the leads alone probably cost me like $1,000 to $1,500
Oh, easy.
easy from just those leads. So if you join, you get leads. By buyer's list, I spent $50,000 on buying it and building it. I networked with Nick Perry and a bunch of other nationwide wholesalers, and I give that list out one state to people that join. So if you want to have your buyer's list grow, well, you get it as long as you're in the program.
I love it. That's good stuff, man.
Cool. So you're telling me you don't have to, if you want to be a new investor, go spend 40 grand on a seminar that's up after 2 weekends. And then you just kind of,
I don't know how people do that.
dude, they do it all the time.
I can't believe it. Like, first of all, like, no offense to anybody that runs those 40K seminars, but like, how do you sleep good? Like, half the people that pay for that are going to not be able to do it.
No, yeah.
Oh, they they stuff their mattresses with cash and it just feels better.
Dude, I mean, I talk to people all the time that want to join the program, and I talked to this lady who works for like Kellogg's cereal or something, and she joined a $20,000 Fortune Builders with a full-time job, and it's like been a year, and she's like, "Look, I'm just working overtime to pay that off." I'm like, and she thinks I don't know how it was pitched to her, but maybe that it was easy. I'm like,
Oh no. Well, I've been to a lot of these seminars. I haven't signed up for a real expensive one yet, but it's a great place to go meet and network with seasoned or new investors. So that's why I always go. But they're like Fortune Builders, they'll come to your town with a free seminar. You show up, and then they convince you to spend just $200, and it will give you a full weekend of how to flip a house. And you can bring a spouse or whoever, bring an extra person. So it's like $100 a person, and then they spend the whole weekend not really brainwashing you, but like really doing a good job of doing this perfectly orchestrated dance to convince you.
They nurture you.
If you do not invest in this scholarship, that could range from 20 to 60 grand, there's different packages you can get, then you're just not going anywhere in life.
yeah, dang, that's crazy.
And every time I go, I'm just like, shoot, I should sign up for this, even though I know, like, I know how to flip a house. Like, I know how to build, be connected to a community, and I've got the resources. But it's an amazing, it's like a timeshare meeting type of thing, only it lasts a whole weekend.
They get you fired up.
They give you just enough education, for you to realize that there's a lot to this business and you need to be mentored, and they make 40 grand seem like it's nothing because they make so much money in this business. It's 40 grand is nothing. And it can be for some people, but for most people, 40 grand is a lifetime savings.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but that's kind of another reason why I started what I did is because I'm like, yeah, I know how much you can make it coaching, but like, it doesn't need to be 40K. Doesn't.
But if you're serving enough people, you can easily make 40 grand a month.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think the important thing about these masterminds too is it's all about how us, as we take in that information, as we take action with it, right? So I can go to a mastermind as long as I'm doing the thing that they're teaching, and as long as it's good, valuable information, I'm absolutely getting value out of it. Price aside, like, yeah, as long as you're taking action and being consistent with it, you'll see results.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add, one thing that pushed me to do something in Investor Thrive was the fact that I don't really learn through videos. I have over thousands and thousands of videos, and I probably watch like 10% of them just because I don't want to learn that way. I'd rather just go and, like you said, take action. So I figured at Investor Thrive, like, let me do calls like pretty much daily where I'm calling people. I can call your leads. We can provide value to you that way. And I thought that was like, maybe not everybody learns that way, but that's how I learned. So I was like, let me make that. And it's exciting because we have calls every day where we're doing deals.
Very cool. Well, Nathan, we're getting to the point of the show where we're going to start wrapping down. Nick, did you want to ask anything before we get to that point?
I wanted to say the same thing. I know Nathan's got to go here soon, so let's wrap it up.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate your time and for coming on today. But we do a couple wind down questions we're just going to run through with you. So the first one is, if you had an investing or business book that you recommend every single person read, what would that be?
I'd really like Think and Grow Rich. That's helped me a ton with my mindset.
I love it. It's good stuff. The next one is, if you had $30 million just gifted into your bank account, what's the first thing you would spend it on?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I have everything I need now. Maybe a cabin in Canada. That's where I'm at right now. I'm in Canada with my wife, and we've always wanted like a little cabin to like hang out at when we come visit.
That's so cool. I love it. What advice would you give to newer real estate investors looking for their first or maybe even their second deal?
What I teach and what I recommend for everyone is find your buyers first. Do not just start marketing and trying to find a deal because you most likely don't know what a deal is. So go find a buyer and then find out what their criteria is and go find them a deal.
Awesome. And then last question for you, Nathan. How do you define success?
Being able to sleep at night, being able to sleep, have a good night's sleep, kind of like we've talked about this episode. Like if you wake up every day excited for what you're about to do, like that's success. And I wake up every day, I'm pumped to grow the business, do what I'm doing.
It's good stuff, man.
That's probably the best answer I've heard.
Appreciate it.
And then, so real quick though, where can people find you and find out more about your information or find out more about your mastermind you teach?
InvestorThrive.com is where people can go and check it out, sign up, learn more. YouTube, I do. If you want to see if you vibe with me or if you like what I have to say, go to YouTube. I pretty much record everything I do when it comes to the business. So if you watch it and you're like, I don't like this guy, you probably won't like me. So YouTube and InvestorThrive.com.
I love it. Good stuff. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for coming on today. We definitely appreciate it. We're going to put all your information in the show notes too when this comes out so everybody can click and find you and hopefully maybe get you some new people in your funnel.
Let's do it. And hey, you guys also got to hop on my podcast. I don't know if you've already signed up for. No, you did sign up for a time. Perfect.
Yes, I did. Not Jeremy yet.
Okay, good. Well, there you go. You both.
I love it.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And I just know, I know your business is going to take off because obviously you're a man that's consistently doing things every day. So just keep it up, stay consistent, and you'll get there.
Hey man, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys. And if there's anything I can do to help you guys out too, you let me know. All right.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much for checking out the Investor Shed podcast. If you enjoyed your time, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow along on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at The Investor Shed for shorts and promos about each episode. Do you want to be a guest or know someone who has great real estate investing advice and stories? Reach out to us at theinvestorshed@gmail.com.